The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another exciting edition of the Power Trading Hour with me, your humble, lovable, squeezably soft host. Once more, into the breach do we go, dear friends.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
So what do we have going on today? Well, we're off 4 points on the S&P cash. We've had a couple of runs to try to push it into positive territory today, but they've been mostly rebuffed. Same thing with the NASDAQ. I think we got up to 4 or 5 points off the 4 or 5 points down. We're off 14 now on the NASDAQ. The Dow's been positive most of the day. I think I saw it up 40 or 50 earlier. It's up 25 right now. No big deal. Crude's up 17 cents. And when we look at commodities, it's oil up about 14 cents. No big deal. Gold's flat. The dollar index is mostly flat. It's down 6 cents, but no big deal out here. Now, we need to start thinking about the way traders should think. And one of the cardinal rules is that markets do not like uncertainty. So however long this takes to probably get through Congress will probably be a weak part of the market. During Tom's show, when we started seeing some of the information leak out, I was kind of thinking all the different ways that there could be unintended consequences of this new tax bill and what they would do. A lot of what's in this new tax bill has to do with housing deductions and dropping them from $1 million to $500,000 for the loan amounts is what I think they're talking about doing, not the actual value of the house, but the loan amounts. But a lot of stuff not very specific. I couldn't find the text of the bill so far. My guess is that it's going to probably go through some machinations before the end of the day and before we actually see something that looks anything close to what it's going to be. And that's going to take at least a week and probably could take all the way into Thanksgiving. And that may put a lid on the market as they're waiting for this thing to come out and figure out what's going to happen. But generally what you want to look in these things are the unintended consequences. In 1999, they passed a bill to drop the taxes on capital gains down significantly. So no one wanted to sell in 1999. They all wanted to sell in 2000. And when everybody has the same idea, there is confusion and profit for those that can think through those mental gymnastics. But my thoughts are, you basically saw the more expensive housing builder Toll take the brunt of that earlier this morning. We'll look at the building index. I'd been seeing a lot of these stocks, we talked about it on the show, from A.O. Smith to others looking rather weak. Now, when this thing comes out, it may change everything. But a lot of times you get kind of a inchworm kind of thing where maybe a lot of people were looking at houses and they're thinking, hey, I need to get this done this year so I get it in on this taxes so I get the deduction for my big $1 million loan. If I do it next year, I won't get it. So I need to get it through. Other people are thinking, well, maybe this is going to really shut down the long-term sales of more expensive houses, because you're only going to be able to deduct the first $100,000 off the loan amount for interest. So does that mean that we're going to have kind of a little bump into the end of the year, and then next year we actually see the slowdown in housing? And other thoughts, because, of course, Tom's comment was, of course, that you really can't if you try to slow down housing spending, then everybody will be over your back because there's a lot of jobs that go around housing. And my thought always was, if that's true, I know that there's some pressure. But the question is, if there's never anybody to say no, then aren't we perpetually always going to be in a boom and bubble cycle in housing that bounces back and forth depending on when everything blows up in everybody's face? If there's nobody, Bush kind of tried to do it in 2005. It was half-hearted. He didn't go out there and say, come on, before this all blows up in our faces, let's let this thing cool off a little bit. You need somebody that did that. He did like about a tenth of it, saw that it wasn't going to be politically viable for him to jump in the way of the party bus that was the eventual blow up of all housing. So today, not a lot. I mean, we don't have some big movements out here, but we're going to start seeing some of those. And the thing to do now is start thinking about and maybe do a little bit of mind experiments on how these things are going to affect the market in the near future. We saw the first reaction. A lot of times those reactions aren't correct. But I think you have probably a lid in the market. Maybe it just goes sideways. But you've got a lid in the market until it looks like this thing's going to pass and everybody has at least some idea of what's going to be in it. Home builders can't kill the bill. The only people that can are congressmen. Now, maybe they'll put pressure on them and some will fade, but they can't go in there and say no. They've got to get somebody that's in there to say no. And so far, the arguments from the creepy, what would you call it? The creepy economists from the far left of academia on TV today, their arguments are pretty poor. Couple of people took a swing saying that this was only for the rich, and they pretty much got chopped up. If you are going to argue that it's just for the rich, I don't think this argument's going to go far, at least on this tax bill. So we've got a little bit of that, and we'll talk more about it as the show progresses. We're going to get into IBM today for a question from one of our listeners. And what else do we need to do? Well, we need to start off with a little bit of history.
Then it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
On this day in 1947, the Hughes flying boat, also known as something else, the largest aircraft ever built, the Spruce Goose, is piloted by designer Howard Hughes on his first and only flight. Built with laminated birch and spruce, the massive wooden aircraft had a wingspan longer than a football field and was designed to carry more than 700 men to battle. It did take off flow more than a mile at 70 feet above the water and gently landed again. Towed in, never ran again. Fast forward to around 1995 or 6. I'm working with many animators on the QE2, the movie production for a very big movie about a ship that sunk, was in full-time production. And I was there trying to help out a few of my customers. We'll talk more about this when we come back. It ends up with me in the Spruce Goose.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
So anyway, the short story here, of course, we were working with my customers on Titanic. They had a 1/3 scale barge right next to the QE2 there in Long Beach. And so we were running back and forth. They were doing a lot of production at night. The animators were in the conference room of the QE2. I think I lived there for 2 weeks on it. Anyway, one of the principals in the company, I was a sweat equity partner in it, came by, and he was born in 1941 or 1940. I think he was born in 1940, because maybe even earlier, because he always talked about the Blitz, but I always had to bring up that he was only 4 years old, and I didn't think he remembered anything about it. Anyway, he was born in London, went through the Blitz, but he was one to throw money around. I was always kind of a penny pincher, still am, and he flipped the Spruce Goose was right next to the QE2 at that time, but it was getting ready to be moved up to Oregon. So everybody was getting ready to lose their job. So he flipped them $100, and the guy let us go through the entire Spruce Goose, including up through the tail. I don't know too many people that got to do that, but I really enjoyed all of that. That had to be 96. I want to say 95, 96, but right in that time. Somebody in the den said it drove Howard Hughes off the deep end, and Howard Hughes actually went off the deep end because he was one of the original guys with heroin problems from pain, and it slowly drove him nuts. He crashed, what was it, 1939? I think it was crashed in 1939 or 40 or maybe 41, something like that, early on, as he was developing fighter planes for the U.S., and always had problems from then on, had some crushed vertebra, never really worked. He was never really right after that. He was a little weird to begin with, and he just got weirder as time went along. But guy came up with a ton of stuff, rivets that were didn't pop above the aluminum on a plane. He got that was his design. He had a bunch of other things in airplanes. Anyway, on this day in 1947, I touched history. And we wanted to talk about IBM because I didn't get to it yesterday. I went off the long end about some other things. What I wanted to talk about. Oh, IBM. So let's do that. Question was, what do I see for IBM long term? Now, these guys bounced just because everybody and their dog was short this thing. On earnings, it's kind of come back here and gone a little shorter. They did have some decent earnings in cloud, but they are not really making that much money in Watson. Doesn't look like they're going to make that much money in Watson. The cloud business basically saved them this quarter. The revenues continue to shrink. They have some work that's probably a year and a half out in quantum computers. Maybe that stuff comes along. Maybe they start making some money from it. Maybe they're already doing it and hiding those contracts under something else, because that they're doing that well in cloud seems a little weird. But I think before any of the quantum stuff really starts moving along, I think they sold one machine to the Air Force so far for a quantum computer for doing something. I can't remember what it was now. But that would be something that IBM could do very good. Very expensive machines that aren't on the cloud. But Watson looks like it's not gaining a lot of traction. It's doing okay, but it never did anyway. Apple was supposed to take over the medical field with IBM as the back end. That hasn't gone anywhere. So I think you probably at best, I think what you could hope for was that IBM doesn't croak here in the next year and a half until they start getting into quantum computing, and maybe that takes off. Maybe Watson comes up with some kind of great application. There's a handful of things that they're doing right with Watson, but it doesn't look to me like they'll ever get to the scale that they need to be to really do well in that business. And all their other business going away, so they're going to have to do something. And I think their last desperate chance is making quantum computers, and there's going to be a lot of money in that. So hopefully that answers the question that we got from email that I didn't get to yesterday, but you can let me know, Michael. I think it's Michael. Okay. Other things going on. Let's just go ahead and start getting to earnings out here. Did I get it in here? XHB. Of course, we talked about the bill and the provisions for cutting the amount of interest you can deduct off, and that instantly hit the XHB. Pretty nasty candle, huge volume. You got to think that especially the builders like Toll Brothers are going to be the most impacted. Thought of all the bad things of impacting. Huge dark cloud cover going back to the candle of the 20th. So you pretty much one day wipe out. Probably more interesting to me is the fact that this really didn't leak. They got this to today before it really hits, and normally, someone's doing something. My wondering is whether or not these senators were shorting the housing stocks going into yesterday. We did see the first pop in about 5, almost 6 months in shorting yesterday. So at least a few people were looking for some downside. Maybe they just thought that the brouhaha with this tax bill would automatically push the market lower because, of course, it didn't matter what it was going to be opposed by some. Didn't matter how much they like it, they're going to say niet. And I don't know what else you can say about it other than that. Like I said, markets do not like uncertainty, and at least for the next week, while this goes through the House, we're going to have a lot of uncertainty. Then it's going to go through over to the Senate. Question is whether or not they can get it out the door, or the McCain mutiny. See what I did there? How many people remember the Cain mutiny? I read it in high school. Anyway, whether or not the McCain mutiny can blow things up in the Senate for the Republicans, but we'll have to see and wait. So everything is about Apple now after the bell. During the last break, I saw it run across the tape, and that is that Apple is being sued by Qualcomm. The question is, how far does Qualcomm want to do this? I think that there's not a chance that Apple would ever buy a Qualcomm part again in their life as long as the current CEO is at Apple. He's decided that he was going to make all his bones by crushing Qualcomm. Didn't do it. They're still around. And, of course, he wasn't able to make them submit. So now they're in a lawsuit. But bigger is, when is Qualcomm going to fire the patent issue and keep iPhone out of the United States and China? Two biggest markets. We'll be back in a minute.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN and you'll find the Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now. Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Directions Daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
We're going to go through as many as these as we can. A lot of earnings out over the last few days. We'll try to get as many comments in. But Juno Therapeutics won out here with good news, got to 59.33. This thing had done nothing but go sideways since the pop on August 29th. And this thing had a lot of wind up into the pitch, got up a little bit more yesterday into earnings. One of the good examples of what's going on. AutoNation, this thing had huge short interest in this thing for weeks. Kept on looking at it. But again, is this the last blow off the top in AutoNation? We continue to wait for tightening in the interest rates on cars to change things, and also the push to get these things out of 8-9-year loans back down to reasonable 6-year loans. But not a lot of talk about that yet. But were the numbers that good? The answer is not really. But they weren't that bad, and everybody was all over these folks for the slowdown and the huge amounts of cars on the lots, like Ford and General Motors, where they've actually cut production at several facilities because they've got so many trucks and cars. But didn't really hurt AutoNation as much as everybody else thought it would. They made a lot more money on their used cars. Yeah, nice pop up here. But look for signs of turnaround if the market turns south again tomorrow. To Apache Corporation, earnings out, not as much as you think. This thing's basically just made a big hammer out here today, so we want to keep an eye on that. Energy's not really moving that much. Blue Apron, this is the company that, of course, came out, and what was they out a week or two, and then Amazon dropped the bully on them. The bully pulpit, knocked it off, said we're doing the exact same thing. So basically they're done. I don't know if there's anything else you can say. If Amazon's doing it and they already have a setup for delivering all these products, how can you compete against Amazon? Which is one question. But that's it. What else do we have? Avago. Of course, they came out with news, and this thing kind of spiked down, recovering a lot of it. Qualcomm got in a lot of hot water over in China, and China basically ruffled through everything they did and made them cough up all the deep, dark secrets of what they do. Qualcomm is kind of an interesting company because if you've ever been in engineering in electronics, RF or radio frequency stuff is normally called the black arts. There's not a lot of things happen that just don't seem intuitive, and you can't learn at college. And that's why a lot of these things like Qualcomm, Avago, these guys that deal in RF radio frequency stuff, always kind of interesting. But they're coming back here to the United States. I suspect that they were coming back anyway. There's going to be a lot of these companies that have figured out what happened to Qualcomm and how China bent them over and took all their intellectual property. The question is just how fast these guys come back now once they actually, and if they can get this tax deal done. To Alibaba was down a little bit after opening up a bit. This one, kind of a little ugly candle out here. Volume is building, but not a monster signal just yet. Tomorrow looks like it's going to be a lot more interesting. Cake, which is Cheesecake Factory, these retail stores from Fridays to Applebee's, all are putting out lower numbers. People are not going out to these places as much as they have. Think of the ones that have been around for 20 years, and these are the ones that have been lacking new business or decent amounts of business. This is down, decent volume, looks like at 38.34, which is the September 7th low. Looks like where that's headed. Checkpoint, this one got pretty much slammed after hours last night. Fairly big volume. $3.41 is the last major low from October 26th. You got to figure that that's where that one is going. C-Trip, big spike down, and recovered a lot of it. Maybe a little bit more volume out here, but that stall also does not look as good. We had FireEye after the bell last night. It didn't do so well. CyberArk actually did, and up fairly decently. It's filling about half its gap. Again, this is one that I think a lot of people jumped on short after they looked at FireEye. And let's take a quick look at FireEye. And it's kind of a thin line between love and hate and being too short. But you know what? It's you got FireEye right here around 15 bucks. It could have been a lot worse. Got to 14.21. But still going to need some legislations to get this thing out the door. Facebook down, volume fairly decent. Was a lot lower earlier. Keep on trying to push this entire market, including Facebook, back up, but it is off $4, which is fairly rare for that. We did find out that in as far as Facebook, that 0.0004 or 0.001% of the money spent in the election was spent by the Russians. Basically, I heard that someone say today that you would need the Hubble Space Telescope to actually see what the Russians actually spent. Actually, a great deal more was actually spent after the election to foment political discontent. And kind of interesting out there. One of the other ones from the hearings was Twitter. These guys were busy molesting free speech like a pedophile. They were hiding news and that they didn't like for their political particular politician they wanted for president. And well, they got their hands caught in the cookie jar out here. This thing is lower on not a lot of volume. But if you want to see somebody molest free speech, Twitter certainly looks like it is the poster child of doing things wrong. It seems like it takes forever for these things to work through the system when you actually, I was going to try to get into a comment that the IRS kind of buried on Friday night. And that was, they literally said that everything that everybody said about them and going after the Tea Party was actually true. They're going to give those Tea Party people $225 million of my money that went so that the IRS could molest their free speech rights. So we'll be back. We'll go through the rest of these. But I think Facebook and Twitter, these things are not over yet. We'll get to the rest of these things, but they still have systemic issues in the way that they handle free speech, and they are not going away, and open the door to other competition if leave the door open, the wrong dog can howl.
Hi folks, this is Tom O'Brien. If you'd like to be the bank and get the type of interest they receive instead of the low interest rates they give to clients, then I have an investment you may want to take a look at. I'm offering 4-year secured first mortgages on buildable city lots in St. Petersburg, Florida. The investment can be anywhere from $30,000 to $75,000 per buildable city lot. The interest paid is 7% per year, paid monthly. Depending on the investment, the income per month per lot ranged from $175 for a $30,000 investment to $437.50 for a $75,000 investment. If you are in the CD market, you want to look at this investment. St. Petersburg is located in Pinellas County, which is the densest county in Florida. If you're looking for an investment with your principal intact that pays a good interest rate, this may be for you. The supply is limited, so act now. For more information on these secured first mortgage opportunities, you can call me at 877-518-9190. That's 877-518-9190. Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how EverBank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? EverBank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? EverBank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. EverBank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you, like it does me, call 1-855-750-4051 to find out what they can do for you. That's 1-855-750-4051. Call them today. EverBank Bank is a member, FDIC, and equal housing lender.
The TAS Profile Scanner Plus, developed by John Logan and his team, is a standalone piece of software that can change the way you trade. Let the TAS Profile Scanner work for you by scanning over 5,000 financial instruments such as stocks, ETFs, commodities, futures, and Forex. Right now, you can get a 30-day free trial to the TAS Profile Scanner Plus right at TFNN.com. And when you sign up, you gain instant access to John Logan's most recent webinar, How Price, Volume, and Time Make Market Profiles So Unique. This hour-long webinar with John Logan will walk you through the most powerful features of the scanner and how you can use it to become a more successful and profitable trader. You pay absolutely nothing for 30 days while you try out this software risk-free. For more information on the TAS Profile Scanner and to get your 30-day free trial today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
And we've got John from Philadelphia on the phone. How you doing, John?
David, I'm very good. Thanks for taking the call. I wanted to ask you about Tesla, and we see the stock falling. You've noted very prominently the massive short interest in these shares, and I've always been very impressed with how the team, whoever this team is, and it's not just Elon Musk and the Tesla people, but how that team has engineered both a rising stock price and engineered looting of the public coffers, specifically that the tax deals out in Buffalo for Solar City, out in Reno for the Gigafactory, and then last but not least, all the tax deals looting the public coffers down in Fremont, California. Anyway, the engineering of this has been just truly impressive. Now that the stock is falling and we're breaking 300, I note it was back in April of this year in which the stock surged when I think it was $2 billion worth of stock was purchased by the Chinese company known as Tencent.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is price coming into that level where Tencent made its big purchase? Is there something we need to be on a look for that these people who are so fabulous at engineering, looting the public coffers and engineering a rising stock price come up with another rabbit out of the hat routine here?
Pull a rabbit out of their hat?
Yes.
or for some other orifice. But yeah, he's been able, Elon Musk has been able to go out and make a Twitter saying he's going to Mars or do this or do that. And they've given him a lot of rope to make that happen. What basically dropped the stock last night was something that everybody already knew. And that was that they can't produce cars. He's blaming his suppliers, he didn't give them all the time that they needed. But there's that kind of growth that doesn't happen organically. When you make software, man, you just set up some servers and that's it. I mean, his business before this has all been in the ether, right? This is his first business where he was actually building something and had to get it out the door. Now he's got, of course, his space business and his tunnel building business and all the other things. This is the one business where actual humans have to buy on the other side, not some corporation or government entity, right? This is where individuals actually make their decision. And my thought is always going to be that you won't be able to keep that 25% margin, which I think is dubious to begin with. I think their margins, even if you are very charitable, are probably more in the mid-teens. But he was able for a couple of years to say, hey, we got 25% margins. The next best company out there has about 8% margins that builds any kind of volume at all. We're not talking about Ferrari building $1 million car or something. But if you're actually talking about somebody builds an assembly line thing and ships it out to them. So what's happened? Well, they had 10 years of growth already priced in. Volume's not good, more competition, less government subsidies. Those government subsidies are not coming back. And it was, no, it wasn't this time last year. It was midsummer, or no, even earlier, maybe May or April. There was a big deal with the senator from Florida down here that was running against Trump. And that's when that came out, that he said he would just let the thing die, which was already going to die in 2018, which is all the subsidies for these cars. So we've been looking at a lot of things. They had to get going. They only had so much runway, and they had to get this company to take off before they were out of that runway. And that's really the problem here. They got 30 new cars that are going to be competition in the next 18 months. A lot of those are by companies that really know what they're doing in building volume in cars. CAFE standards here in the United States mean that they actually have to sell those electric cars from GM to somebody, or I guess they could let them rot on the tarmac at the local dealer, but at some point they're going to have to kick those things out and get some cash back for them. But so there's going to be a lot more. California has cut their subsidies down, and even the new car won't hit it. It's got to be like $35,000 and under, which only really right now means the GM car. So you can get the subsidies from California buying an electric car with the GM, but not with any of the Teslas. And a lot of that was $15,000, $20,000 when they were selling $100,000 Teslas. But everybody got together and said, what are we doing giving somebody 15 or 20 grand for buying a Tesla that's 100 grand? If they can afford 100 grand, they can afford 120 grand. So, that whole thing kind of is unwound. They're out of runway. They need to be producing products. They need to be dropping prices. And again, the prices really didn't drop that significantly in the Gigafactory for building lithium-ion batteries. All they did was throw $5 billion at the problem. So, I don't know. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I very much like that analogy you use of running out of runway. That's a concept you can envision very nicely.
You got to get up to takeoff speed, or you're in big trouble with those trees at the end of the field, right?
Indeed. Yes. Okay. Thanks so much. I appreciate that thought.
It's not that it isn't a good car. It's just the reality is not anywhere close to what they're selling. So I've always said this is a $40 stock that hit $400. So will they be around? Yes. Will they displace GM? I doubt it.
And I'll just share an interesting observation. As I'm looking at the 4 or 5 year chart, I noticed back in 2014, then 15, there was a nice double top in the stock at $285 a share. We've gotten over that, held above that now.
Mm-hmm.
If in fact here now at 297, if we start slipping under 285,
which we will,
and hold underneath that, you've got 6-7 months of distribution at highs, Tommy O'Brien's trap-like rats phenomena potentially.
I see no way that they hold the margins that they've been blabbing about for years. Margins will only hold.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay. We'll be back.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Hi, folks, this is Tom O'Brien. Come join me next hour as we bisect and dissect these markets, right here on TFNN. Wow!
And we're going to go to Jim in San Diego. Jim, we don't have much time. Let's have it.
Hi. Can you look at ESIO and NOVT? They both reported earnings the last day.
Yeah, I'll just probably have time to get to ESIO before the end of the show here.
Okay.
What's your question on it? I mean, you've got a nice gap out here.
Yeah, it's breaking out. It looks like it's a good stock. I've got some call options on it. Just wondering about the next 6 months.
Well, generally, when you get a tech stock like this that breaks out, and they have very specific technology to make printed circuit boards that's much better than everybody else. Pretty good. They have a laser that actually drills what are called vias and circuit boards. And vias, if you want to get from the top to the bottom, like a two-sided printed PCB board where you're going to put electronics on it, a lot of times you need to get the electricity from one side of the fiberglass board to the other, so you drill a hole through the thing, you put a couple of pads and run some solder from the top to the bottom. This thing does it all with like lasers and everything else. Pretty cool technology, and apparently very fast, and they have some other technology. A lot of times you need to adjust potentiometers and other things on the board. They've got lasers that actually will trim all those things automatically, so you don't need to have somebody on the line adjust these things later. And it's been it's been a big deal. I kind of vaguely remember reading about this thing when it came out, but they kind of keep a lot of their stuff under their hat. So I really didn't know a lot about it, but it seems to be doing very well out of Portland, and nice gap up there. But it's hard to see anybody come up with anything better in the next 6 months. So probably going to have a nice run.
Great. Thank you.
You bet. We'll be back tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time. And as always, sell when you can, not when you have to.
Larry Pesavento has just started his brand new service, Fibonacci 24/7, and he's already delivering content to his subscribers on a daily basis when the market's opened and even on weekends. Each Monday, you'll receive Larry's written report that provides detailed commentary and a summary on the charts and videos that Larry sends out. And throughout the week, when warranted, Larry will send out via charts or videos or both the key markets that he is watching during the day. This will be up-to-the-date, active trading information that will help you in your daily trading. In Larry's first week alone, he sent out 25 charts, 6 videos, and a full report to his subscribers in just 1 week. If you're a technical trader that uses patterns and retracements to trade, then Larry's service Fibonacci 24/7 is something that you must try. Right now, new subscribers can get a full 30-day money-back guarantee. With nothing to risk, sign up now to Larry Pesavento's Fibonacci 24/7 by visiting the front page of TFNN.com under Trading Newsletters.